Hi there, how you doing? Today we're going to talk about getting what you want as opposed to not getting what you want or getting what you don't want. It's really interesting to me how the default position of most people that I meet is that they focus on their mistakes and they walk around through life if saying to themselves if they just can criticize themselves enough that they're going to turn it around. All they have to do is just beat themselves up a little bit more and they're going to get it right. Well, that's not really how it works. So it is really fascinating to me. They say that 70% on average of people's self talk is negative. Um, and that's average. So that means that more just as many people do that more as do it less. And so there are people out there who 90 to 100% of their self talk is negative. And then there are some people who have a lower percentage of self talk that is negative. But there are very few people who have zero negative self talk. So one of the interesting things that happens that um, with our self talk is it can direct our eyes to what we're paying attention to. So, something that has commonly happens, this happens in just about every lesson, is we're working on a certain shot and the player is focusing on the mistakes that they're making. And then they hit one really awesome shot. And instead of stopping and reflecting on that one, the thing that they do want, that shot, they want that shot. Instead, if on the next shot they don't do it, now they're angry, disappointed, self-critical, any number of different things, right? Manifestations of less than. So what I try to get them to do is to say, all right, is it better to pay more attention to the shots that you don't like, or is it more important to pay attention to the shots that you do like? And we might. I don't keep a lot of balls in my basket. I usually have 72 balls in my basket, and that's it because I want to have them practice about 72 shots. And then we're going to do a ball pickup and talk and synthesize what happened in those shots. And in a series of say 20 shots towards the end, I might ask them, okay, how many of those shots did you really like? And sometimes their number of shots that they really liked from their experience is much less than what I liked from looking from the outside, which that's telling. I'm not sure exactly what that means. But even so, it's their experience that matters more than mine. But sometimes I'll tell them, I think you're being a little hard on yourself because I saw 10 good shots and you only saw two or three, or you only experienced two or three as being what you want. That being said, reflect on those and say, that's what I want. What did that look like? What did that feel like? And then what will happen is then you're sending the signal to your brain, what do you want? And then your brain gets busy giving you what you want. So this is the power of goal setting too. When you write down your goals and you think about what you want to accomplish, then it's really interesting how things conspire to work together to make those things happen. So, then another interesting thing is that if you're thinking about what you do want, that's a good input. That gives your brain something to do. You can start building a new good habit that will replace all other bad habits. I had a funny thing happen last summer. This woman who I've been teaching and she improved pretty dramatically, brought her husband for a lesson. So he comes and he has, I think, the worst backhand I've ever seen in my entire life, because he never did two things the same wrong. He never did. He never did the same thing wrong. So, so the first time he's like over swinging, and then the next one he's like this, and then the next one he's flipping his forearm over, and the next one he's got a weird grip, and then so he was doing 10 different things wrong. And so I'm kind of observing this. He's trying to rally with his wife, and I'm observing this horrific backhand, and I'm thinking, oh wow, I'm going to look like an idiot here. So what to do? What to do? So he's rallying, and his forehand's okay, and his backhand's just all over the place. And I'm just like praying. I'm like, what am I going to do? I need help here. God help me, right? And so, I was thinking, where's my entry point into all this? Which one of these 10 things that he's doing is the first one that I should address? You know, I'm going to address one thing, and he's going to do 9 other things wrong. How am I going to get him to have success? And then, eliminate one thing at a time. And is this going to take hours to do? So a funny thing happened. He all of a sudden hit one really nice backhand. And then I just stopped and I said, yes, do that. And it sounds ridiculous. It sounds ridiculous. His wife laughed. She laughed out loud, like, oh, that's possible? And he looked disbelieving. And you probably don't believe me. And so I said, that's the one you want. So do that. And I'm asking you to do that again because I know that it's possible. I know that you can do it because you just did it. So anything you can do one time, you can do another time. And the way forward is just to remember that experience. If you remember what it looked like, if you remember what it felt like, especially, those two things always go together. The visual and the kinesthetic always go together. And then there's also then the kinematic, but I'm not going to get too deeply into the kinematic just yet. But so when you put your mind on the things that you want, then your brain is busy with building that new habit. But when you're trying to look for things wrong, then your mind is on the wrong things, and then you're replaying tapes in your mind of doing wrong things, but it's not really solvable. A lot of times in the first lesson, people say this, I have a problem with my backhand. And so I say, well, I can't solve it because if you own it and it's permanent, then there's nothing I can do. So the first thing is you have to stop saying, I have a problem, because you're owning it. And when you say, I have a problem, it sounds permanent. So I can't fix permanent problems. It's above my pay grade. So now what you can do is you say, I used to have a bad backhand, and now I'm learning to hit a better backhand. I want my backhand to be better than it currently is. In fact, I want to be able to hit flat, topspin, slice, and anywhere I want to on the court. Okay, let's get to work. I have this funny thing that I say to people that they think is pretty remarkable. And I asked them this. I always like to bait things with questions, so that people are curious about what's going on. All right. Where are all of my problems? And it's interesting because it's a time-space continuum question, and they're not ready for this because they're thinking, when I say where are my problems, they're thinking about a location, right? So they're like, so there's no answer to that. Where are they? Where do you keep them, right? And I tell them that all of my problems are in the past, as are yours. All of your problems are in the past because you haven't started any new problems yet, right? So theoretically, you can go from this moment forward and just do what you want. You can do what you want, right? And I could find scripture to back that up, and I can also, there are a lot of really interesting scientific backups behind that. So starting this moment, you can mindfully move forward into what you want to do. So he hit that one magical backhand. And so now we're going to take that and we're going to move forward with that. So he was hitting it 1 out of 10 times. And then he would do all of his other little things. And I'm like, hey, do you remember that other one backhand that you really like? And he said, yes. And then he started doing it every other time. And then 3 out of 4 times he could do it. And then I challenged him to try to do it 9 times out of 10 before he left the lesson, which he was able to do. That's pretty good progress. And, any more than 9 out of 10 or 18 out of 20, it's a lot to ask. Or even 17 out of 20. That's a lot to ask in a first lesson with somebody, right? Because that further refining down of the final 10% and the final 5% and all that, that takes a little more time and training and belief and all that. So yesterday I have a guy who's got blessed with a lot of power, and he's a former 5-0 level player, and he's coming back to the game. And his backhand has just been really erratic. I mean, he hits them in the net. He hits them really long. He'll get a string of 2 or 3 or 4 where he hits it really well. But he's got this little mental thing. And he was the inspiration behind the eye flow coordination video. But I did something with him where we did an adding drill, and so that he would be rewarded for doing what he wanted. And so I put a little group of yellow circles here, and if you hit in that area, that's 5 points. And if you hit inside the red, then that's 3 points. And then if you get anywhere in that box, the deep cross-court backhand box, then that's 1 point. Below the service line is -1. In the net is -5. All right. But then if you hit long, if it's past the baseline, it's 0. So it was really interesting to watch him struggle with that. And his mind was on the dread of hitting into the net and getting -5. So that's what happened. He hit a lot of balls -5. So, I kind of let him go through that torture for a little bit, and it worked well. He felt the torture. So we wrapped that up, and we said we wrapped up the first phase of it, and I went, look, you want to get to 25 points, and what's the biggest impediment to that? And he said, hitting in the net. I'm like, okay, well, now this next round, all we're going to do is just eliminate the balls in the net. That's all we're going to do. So now if you hit long, you get 0. That does not hurt you. That does not subtract from your score. And it took him a little while to get comfortable with hitting the ball long. There's something about hitting the ball long that just feels, I don't know, it shouldn't. It should be better than hitting in the net. So anyway, after a short period of time, he started scoring more points and then not losing as many points in the -5 range. And towards the end, I mean, he dramatically eliminated a large percentage of his balls in the net because of that. Then a funny thing happened. Then also towards the end, I sort of dispassionately said, balls in the net are unacceptable. Now, the word unacceptable is sort of spring loaded for a lot of people, because as soon as you hear the word unacceptable, then, you know, emotions can come up. But you don't, it doesn't have to be. It's just going to be a matter of fact, right? You just don't ever want a ball in the net, really, in singles. There's almost no reason for that. So just going, okay, that's unacceptable. I don't accept balls in the net. I've got to get my ball deeper. So it's, you know, that I think also helped him. And, you know, it's good to have a certain standard, but when you create too much expectation and you make it emotionally spring loaded, then you've got a major problem. But anyway, focus. So here are your number one, here are your takeaways for today. All right. One, focus on what you want. Once you hit that shot that you really love, stop for a moment if you can and just reflect on that and let that sink in, because you will start to do more of those. And then the other thing to do is stop obsessing about every little mistake that you're making. Okay, with this exception, if you start to see a pattern of a most common error that you're making, like balls in the net, all right, or getting too close to the ball, or, you know, not moving forward, or whatever it is, you know, if you find one major thing, then pick out that one thing and start doing what you want. What is the cure for that? Do that one thing. Focus on that one thing and do what you want. Build that new habit in, and that's a good thing. And then take away the emotional impact of these things, right? Be positive with yourself, or even just be real with yourself. Just look at things as they really are and do your best. That's all you can do, right? So you can say balls in the net are unacceptable, right? And so then you fix your mind on the target that you want to hit and be okay with hitting farther than the target, because as you get the range, then you can start bringing that ball into the court. But all of this stuff affects the visual system. All right, now, if you want a link to the 99-cent ebook that's going to be coming out, then go ahead and shoot me an email. There's my email right there. Right? And say that you want that link, because I'm going to be publishing that book next week. And, you know, I want everyone who's interested in that and wants to help the book succeed get their 99-cent ebook on a certain day, which I will announce later, because then that helps it beat the Amazon algorithm, and it can go to #1 in coaching on Amazon, and then that's a good thing. That will really help the future success of getting the message out. All right, well, thanks for watching, and now it's time for my my intermittent fast to end, and so that I can get down to my target weight. I've got about 4 more pounds to go. All right, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.